Before coming here, I was a pastor at Holy Family Parish on the near west side, and Holy Family Church was right in the center of the great Chicago fire. The pastor at the time was a priest by the name of Arnold Damon, a legendary Jesuit priest. Those of you who are from Chicago may be familiar with Damon Avenue. Damon Avenue was named after Father Damon. And while he was noted as a great preacher, and he was giving a mission at a church in Brooklyn when he got the telegram that the city was burning. He was giving the mission at a parish called Our Lady of Perpetual Help, and he immediately went to the shrine of Our Lady of Perpetual Help and pleaded with her to save the church, and promised that if the church was spared, he would erect a shrine in her honor that would be perpetually lit by 7 candles, 7 being the number of perfection. And upon his return from Brooklyn, Holy Family Church was one of 5 public buildings that survived the Great Chicago Fire. And he immediately erected this shrine in her honor, and those 7 candles have been lit ever since. They're now electric candles. When I was the pastor there, every night I would go to bed to make sure the 7 candles were still lit, because I didn't want Father Damon's promise to fail on my watch. The city was destroyed, the heart of the city, hundreds of thousands of buildings destroyed, 100,000 homeless, hundreds of people had passed away. And many began to see this as the end of Chicago. Just a few days after the fire, the New York Times basically wrote an obituary and began pondering where would the next great Midwestern city be, assuming that there would be no way that Chicago could recover from such a devastating loss. Legend had it that Patrick and Catherine O'Leary were responsible for the fire, Mrs. O'Leary's cow. And everybody knew that was ridiculous, but Chicago at the time suffered from virulent anti-Catholicism and tremendous bigotry against the Irish, and the powers to be had decided to blame the fire on a reckless Irishman. And Father Damon's great dream was one day that the O'Learys would be exonerated or blamed for the fire. And while I was there, Holy Family was celebrating its 150th anniversary, and the city of Chicago passed an ordinance exonerating the O'Leary family. The O'Leary family suffered tremendously after the fire. They were, in a sense, like the Osama bin Ladens of Chicago. They couldn't go anywhere. They were marginalized, ridiculed, blamed. They had tremendous problems in the aftermath of the fire. Years after the fire, on the anniversary of the Chicago fire, their graves would be defaced. And I was aware of some descendants of the O'Learys that lived in the Beverly neighborhood, and I reached out to them in light of the exoneration. Would they like to come to celebrate with us the 150th anniversary? It would be a great dream of Father Damon if they felt comfortable coming back, and they did. And one of the crowning moments of that liturgy was I got to baptize Bartholomew O'Leary, who was the 5th generation of Patrick and Catherine O'Leary. But when you think about the devastation of the Chicago fire, you know, Chicago came roaring back after that fire. No obituary from the New York Times was going to stop Chicago from becoming the great city it has become. A city of legendary institutions and natural beauty. When they rebuilt the city, it became one of the safest cities in terms of fire safety. They completely overhauled the plumbing systems so that Chicago would have the safest water. There were a tremendous outpouring from all over the world to help Chicago. One of the funny things was Queen Victoria sent 100,000 books to Chicago to replace the books that had been destroyed in the Chicago Public Library, which was tremendous, except Chicago didn't have a public library. And those books became the foundation of the library system we enjoy today. This story of the Great Chicago Fire is just another reminder of the tremendous capacity we have to be born again, to move in new directions, to leave behind failure and sadness and evil, to begin anew. And that sense of beginning anew is very evident in the first reading today, as once again we hear the story of Job, this tremendously reluctant prophet who was sent to convert the Ninevites. There was tremendous animosity between the Ninevites and the Israelites. In one sense, Jonah probably in his heart of hearts was wishing that God would destroy Nineveh because of the long history of hatred that existed. But nevertheless, eventually, Jonah returns to Nineveh and converts the city. The city repents, and they are saved, and they are redeemed by their willingness to seek mercy and forgiveness for their evil ways. The Lord is always inviting us to leave our evil ways, to release the grip that sin and evil can have on our hearts. What we have to do is what Mary did in the gospel today. We need to sit and listen, to allow the Word of God to wash over us, to encourage us, to help us to be honest with what needs to be changed in our lives. And if we're open to that, as we know, we look at the past of our lives, tremendous graces come when we seek mercy and forgiveness. May all of us, like Mary, choose the better part.
Thank you for joining us for this celebration of the Mass. This virtual Mass is broadcast to hundreds of people every day of the week. You know, over 100 years ago, the very first celebrations of the Mass took place on the second floor of the Glenview Public House. It's been inconceivable that 100 years later, we would be reaching so many people all over the world through this technology. If you'd like to support the ongoing broadcasts of OLPH's Masses, please go to our website, go to Give Central, and you'll be able to support the ongoing outreach of this virtual ministry. Thank you for your support. Most of all, thank you for joining us in prayer. God bless you.